Have you ever wondered what truly happens on a deep, instinctual level when a woman, instead of pleading or pursuing, simply and silently withdraws her energy? This isn't about playing a game or deploying a tactic learned from a magazine. It is about a profound, almost mystical shift in the energetic balance, a reclaiming of a throne that was always rightfully yours. The world teaches you to lean in, to strive, to make your presence known. But the most magnetic and irresistible power often lies not in the chase, but in the sovereign stillness of your own self-possessed universe. This withdrawal creates a vacuum, a space filled with a deafening silence that speaks volumes more than any argument ever could, forcing a man to confront not your absence, but the sudden, stark reality of his own reflection in the mirror you've left behind. The truth is, this potent act of breaking away is not about him at all. It is the final, breathtaking act in a deeply personal psychological drama. The brilliant psychoanalyst Carl Jung taught us that much of what we call attraction is a complex dance of projection, where we cast the undiscovered parts of our own souls onto another. When a woman turns her focus inward, she is not merely stepping back from a man. She is embarking on the sacred journey of individuation, of becoming whole within herself. She is taking back the golden fragments of her own power, strength, and potential that she had unknowingly placed in his hands for safekeeping. This isn't rejection. It is the ultimate act of self-reclamation. It is a signal to the universe, and to him, that her validation no longer resides in his gaze, but is forged in the fire of her own self-discovery. Welcome back to Feminine Queen. Today we delve into the alchemy of sovereign withdrawal, exploring the powerful psychological and philosophical currents that make a woman who breaks away utterly irresistible. We will explore this not as a strategy to win a man back, but as the path to winning yourself back, which is infinitely more valuable. By blending the profound insights of Carl Jung with the unshakable wisdom of Stoicism, you will understand how to transform from someone who seeks validation into someone who embodies it. This is the essence of your power, the very core of what it means to be a feminine queen. And by the end of our time together, you will see that your throne has been waiting for you all along. 1. The alchemy of sovereign withdrawal. Your truest, most potent form of magnetism is never ignited through pursuit, but through a sacred, intentional turn inward. This is the alchemy of sovereign withdrawal. Let's be clear. This is not the bitter silence of resentment or the passive-aggressive cold shoulder. Those are tactics born of pain and a desire for control. Sovereign withdrawal, in contrast, is an act of profound reverence for your own inner world, your own sacred space. From a psychological perspective, rooted in the work of Carl Jung, when you are intensely focused on a man, you are often projecting vast parts of your own psyche onto him. He becomes the carrier of your unlived potential, your hopes, your need for security. When you withdraw that projection, you create what can only be described as a presence of absence. He feels the energetic void not just as you being gone, but as a vital part of his perceived world having vanished. This forces an internal reckoning within him. It evokes an ancient, unspoken longing within the masculine psyche, not for the possession of a person, but for the noble challenge of engaging with a self-contained sovereign universe. Stoically, this is the ultimate practice of focusing on what you can control. You cannot control his feelings, his choices, or his attention. You can, however, control where you direct your own life force. By turning it away from the external and pouring it back into your own purpose, virtue, and inner growth, you become your own celestial body, radiating a gravitational pull that compels authentic, respectful engagement rather than demanding it. Your absence becomes a lingering question in his mind, prompting him to reflect not on what he has lost, but on the unshakable territory of selfhood that you so clearly occupy. 2. Detachment. The stillness of the deep lake versus the cracks in the performance. Authentic detachment is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful qualities a woman can embody. It is the serene, profound composure of a deep, still lake. It is not indifference, nor is it the calculated coldness of a woman who is trying to act unbothered. That is merely a performance, a fragile mask of control that barely conceals the tremors of deep-seated insecurity and emotional dependency. Carl Jung would identify this performance as the persona, the idealized mask we present to the world, while our true feelings, our shadow, remain in turmoil. This performance always has cracks. It feels brittle and inauthentic because it is. True detachment, however, arises from an unwavering inner anchorage. It is the deep lake, which, when a stone is cast into it, is momentarily rippled, but remains fundamentally undisturbed in its vast, quiet depth. It swiftly returns to its natural state of calm. You, my queen, embody this stillness when your withdrawal is not a petty retaliation or a ploy to provoke a reaction. You withdraw because your center of gravity, your ultimate source of validation and power, resides eternally within your own core. The Stoic principle here is that of apatheia, not to be confused with apathy. It is not the absence of feeling, but the absence of irrational and disturbing passions. It is a state of tranquil wisdom, where you can experience emotions without being enslaved by them. Your peace is not contingent on his texts, his calls, or his presence. Therefore, his absence cannot fundamentally threaten your inner state. Your retreat is a simple, non-negotiable statement that your inner fortress is well guarded and self-sustaining. 3. Wholeness. The unassailable fortress of self. The sacred journey inward, the act of withdrawing your energy from the external world, does not lead to a life of diminished love or connection. Instead, it leads to the construction of an unassailable fortress, the fortress of wholeness. This is the alchemical process Carl Jung called individuation, where the disparate and often conflicting parts of your psyche are integrated into a cohesive, powerful whole. In this process, the perceived lack that drives so many to seek completion in another person is transmuted into a state of sovereign completeness. Detachment becomes the natural, effortless expression of this inner abundance. You are no longer a supplicant standing at the threshold of another's heart, begging for scraps of validation or a sense of completion. You have reparented your inner child, integrated your shadow, and reclaimed your power. From a Stoic viewpoint, this is the ultimate expression of self-sufficiency, or autarkeia. The Stoics taught that virtue is the sole good, and that a person who cultivates inner virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, temperance, lacks nothing of importance. Your wholeness means your happiness is not an external that can be given or taken away by another person. It is a product of your own inner state. When your love emerges from this place of wholeness, it ceases to be a desperate, needy pursuit. Instead, it becomes a potent, generous offering, a gift bestowed from a place of overflow, not of scarcity. When the world, and any man, encounters this self-contained radiance, it has no choice but to recalibrate. He can no longer meet you as a seeker, but must rise to meet you as the source. 4. Individuation. The forging of the sovereign self in soul's fire. Let us speak of the sacred pilgrimage of individuation, for this is the forge in which a woman becomes a queen. This journey, as described by Carl Jung, is fundamentally different from a self-improvement project undertaken to become more attractive to a partner. That is merely polishing the mask, the persona. Individuation is the descent into the soul's deepest forge, a place of fire and transformation. It is here that you consciously confront and integrate the parts of yourself you have long denied or hidden. The illusions, the societal expectations of the good girl, the inherited family roles you never chose, the survival masks you created to protect a wounded heart, are all surrendered to this consuming fire. The suffering you have endured is not meaningless. It becomes the alchemical heat that tempers your soul into unshakable strength. The maiden who was taught that love meant self-sacrifice. The silenced inner child who was afraid to speak her truth. The whispering shadow that constantly told you that you were not enough. These fragmented selves are not to be exorcised, but to be invited into the inner sanctum, heard, and integrated with love. From a Stoic perspective, this arduous process is the ultimate training ground for virtue. The challenges and pains are indifference. They are not good or bad in themselves, but they are opportunities to practice courage, wisdom, and resilience. You are not just improving yourself. You are remembering the soul's inherent blueprint that existed long before the world tried to write its own script over it. The woman who emerges from this fire is no longer fragmented. She is tempered, whole, and sovereign. Fifth, the manifest crown of the individuated queen. The fruit of this profound inner work, this journey of individuation, is a sovereignty that is visible to all, even if they cannot name it. It is a manifest crown, worn not on the head, but in the soul. The desperate chameleon-like shape-shifting to please others comes to an end. The frantic chase for external proof of your worthiness simply dissolves, because the question of your worth has been answered, once and for all, from within. A queen who has walked this path moves with the unmistakable clarity of one who has met her own depths and is no longer afraid of what she finds there. Her gaze pierces through illusion. From a Jungian standpoint, she ceases to be a passive screen for the projections of others. Instead, she becomes a conscious mirror. She sees others, particularly men, not as saviors to be idealized or as demons to be feared, but as complex individuals who may at times reflect her own inner landscape back to her. An interaction with a man might illuminate an old wound that still requires her healing touch, or it might reveal a new threshold of courage she is being beckoned to cross. The Stoic wisdom here is the practice of clear-eyed judgment. You see the world as it is, not colored by your fears or desires. The pivotal question of your life shifts from the needy, powerless plea of, "Does he want me?" to the regal, discerning inquiry of, "Does the man standing before me possess the character and depth that resonates with the sovereignty I have fought so hard to build within myself?" This profound self-recognition, this unwavering internal benchmark, is the true and everlasting crown of wholeness. All right, feminine queens, I want to take a moment to honor you, the very heart and soul of this incredible community. Your engagement, your thoughtful comments, your powerful shares, that is the lifeblood that allows this space to thrive and grow. We wouldn't be here without you, so please keep that magnificent energy flowing. If you are finding value in this journey of self-reclamation, make sure you are subscribed, hit that notification bell so you never miss a step on this path, and share this message with another woman who is ready to claim her own crown. I will love you forever for it. Now, let's continue our descent into the heart of this power. Nick's sixth projection, the soul's labyrinth of self-discovery, disguised as love. The powerful, often overwhelming force of initial attraction is rarely as simple as it seems. In many cases, it signals a profound, unconscious encounter with the hidden parts of yourself. Carl Jung identified the mechanism behind this as projection, an ancient psychological process where a woman unconsciously casts her unlived potential, her deepest fears, and her most sacred longings onto the canvas of another person, mistaking her own painting for the man himself. He becomes the living symbol of her animus, the unconscious masculine aspect of her psyche. If her own assertiveness, logic, or worldly ambition lies dormant, she will be irresistibly drawn to a man who embodies those qualities. And he becomes the hero, the rescuer, the intellectual giant, the missing piece of her puzzle, an archetype draped over a mere mortal. The magnetic pull she feels is not just to him. It is her own soul's desperate yearning for the disowned qualities that he symbolically awakens within her. From a Stoic standpoint, this is a critical failure in perception. The Stoics taught that our disturbances come not from things themselves, but from our judgments and beliefs about them. In projection, you are not seeing the man. You are seeing your elaborate judgments and fantasies about him. Love, in this phase, becomes a labyrinthine hall of mirrors, where every turn shows you a reflection, not of him, but of the parts of yourself you have yet to claim. 7. Disillusionment, the shattered mirror and the reclaiming of the crown jewels. The inevitable shattering of these powerful projections is often mistaken for romantic failure, a heartbreak, or a betrayal. But for the woman on the path to becoming a queen, this moment of disillusionment is the sacred, painful dawn of true sight. The mirror cracks. The hero reveals his human frailties. The rescuer shows he cannot save you from yourself. The perfect image crumbles under the weight of reality. This is not a tragedy. It is a profound opportunity. This cracking of the mirror gives birth to piercingly honest questions. Was it truly him I was in love with? Or was it the grand script I authored for him to play? Did he actually betray me? Or did he simply refuse to continue playing the role I had unconsciously assigned? Withdrawing your projections is therefore an act of radical self-reclamation. Carl Jung saw this as taking back your own gold, the precious psychic energy and potential you had given away. This requires immense courage. From a Stoic perspective, this is the discipline of assent in action. You cease to assent to false impressions. You choose to see reality as it is, not as your hopes or fears would have it be. The central question shifts from the dependent, does he complete me, to the sovereign, what exiled part of my own strength, my own joy, my own ambition did I abandon that made me believe I needed him to be whole? You take back your projected jewels, and in doing so, you can finally see him clearly for the first time, not as a symbol, but as a separate sovereign being. This is not an act of vengeance. It is the restoration of your own inner kingdom. 8. Sovereign roots versus the vine's desperate cling. Dependency unmasked. Emotional dependency often cleverly masquerades as deep, unconditional love and devotion, but at its core, it is rooted in psychic starvation. It is a state of being that constantly whispers, "My well-being, my stability, my very wholeness depends entirely on your presence and approval." Psychologically, this dependency is like a clinging vine, which, though it may look lush, is actually strangling the tree it wraps itself around in a desperate attempt to reach the sunlight. A dependent woman offers a performance of love, not a true presence. She constantly seeks reassurance, not mutual exchange. Her joy evaporates in the face of his silence. Her agony blooms at the slightest hint of perceived rejection. Her sense of self becomes a hostage, locked in a prison where the warden is external validation. In stark and beautiful contrast stands the woman of self-sufficiency, the woman with sovereign roots. She is the deep-rooted tree. She is nourished not by the shifting weather of another's moods, but from the deep, underground springs of her own inner reserves. She stands in a quiet, undeniable, and solid strength. A feminine queen embodies this rootedness. From a Stoic view, she has mastered the dichotomy of control. She understands that her joy, her peace, and her sense of worth are internals, firmly within her own power. Her silence is a sanctuary, not a punishment. Her solitude is a time of rich connection with herself, not a source of fear. She commands attention not by seeking it, but by the sheer, undeniable gravitational pull of her own completeness. The vine's desperate cling ultimately suffocates love. The tree's rooted presence magnetizes it. 9. The unshakable citadel. The power of stillness as your fortress wall. When you are faced with provocation from the masculine, whether it be dismissal, emotional withdrawal, veiled tests of your boundaries, or the deafening silence of unanswered pleas, your most potent and regal response is often that of profound stillness. This must not be mistaken for weakness, passivity, or a manipulative silent treatment. This is the unassailable fortress wall of supreme self-possession. Psychologically, this stillness short-circuits the dynamic of provocation and reaction. The provocateur is unconsciously attempting to hook your shadow, to pull you into a chaotic drama where they can control the narrative. By refusing to react, you hold that chaotic energy in the space between you. You don't absorb it, and you don't reflect it back. You simply allow it to be. In that vast, echoing space you create with your composure, the provocateur is left entirely alone with the reverberations of their own actions. They are forced to confront their own reflection in the clear, undisturbed mirror that your stillness provides. Stoicism provides the philosophical bedrock for this power. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the inner citadel, a fortress within the mind that no external event, no insult, no misfortune can ever breach. Your regal stillness is the outer manifestation of this inner citadel. It communicates, without a single word, that your value is internally derived and non-negotiable. It requires no shouted defense, no tearful pleading. In the face of chaos, your silence becomes the thunder, and your stillness becomes the unshakable wall of your kingdom. 10. Purpose, the inner sun that draws the world into orbit. A queen who is illuminated by the light of her own purpose radiates an allure that no amount of surface-level charm or physical beauty can ever hope to replicate. Her purpose is the inner sun that warms her own soul and, by extension, draws others into her orbit. Her days are not just a series of events to be endured. or a waiting game for a relationship to give them meaning. They are woven with the intentional threads of her own making. Her steps are guided by an inner compass that is firmly aligned with what Carl Jung might call her soul's myth, that unique intersection where her deepest joy meets a genuine need in the world. She is not waiting to be chosen for a role in someone else's story. She is the author and protagonist of her own epic. She is actively building her own sovereign realm, whether that be through her career, her creative passions, her community service, or her intellectual pursuits. This sense of direction, this burning why that gets her out of bed in the morning, is profoundly and unconsciously magnetic. A man of substance who is drawn to her is captivated not just by who she is in a static sense, but by the dynamic, unfolding reality of where she is going. From a Stoic perspective, this is the embodiment of living a virtuous life. Her purpose isn't about achieving fame or fortune. Those are externals. Her purpose is the daily practice of her virtues in service of her mission. This inner alignment automatically silences the hollow, anxious question of, am I enough? Engaged in her sacred work, a queen becomes the answer. She is vibrant, expansive, and utterly incomparable. Authenticity, born from the crucible of purpose, is her ultimate and most glorious crown. 11. The Sovereign Union. Wholeness as the foundation of regal love. Ultimately, this entire journey of withdrawal, individuation, and self-reclamation culminates in the ascension to an unshakable inner throne, the throne of wholeness. When you have stripped away the need for roles, shed the suffocating masks of the persona, and released the soul-deep ache for external completion, you can finally inhabit the pure, unfiltered light of your own essential self. It is from this inner citadel of wholeness that authentic, powerful relating can finally blossom. True love, the kind a queen is capable of giving and receiving, is not a desperate fusion of two broken halves clinging to each other for survival. It is a sovereign union. It is the conscious, respectful coming together of two whole and complete entities, each radiating their own light, who choose to journey alongside one another for a time. This connection is born not of hunger, but of a mutual reverence for the mystery and integrity of the other's self-contained universe. A woman who embodies this psychological and spiritual wholeness, as Carl Jung described it, fears neither solitude nor connection, for she is complete in both states. She moves through the world with a deep sense of peace and reverence, no longer desperately seeking love, but rather being love, a resonant frequency of grace, strength, and wisdom. This is the Stoic ideal of living in accordance with nature, your own true nature. Those who are destined for your orbit, those who can meet you at this level of sovereignty, will eventually find their own rhythm aligning with yours, drawn not by any pursuit on your part, but by the simple, undeniable, and irresistible gravity of your own sovereign presence. This is your ultimate peace. This is your unassailable power. This journey of breaking away is not a path of subtraction, my queens. It is not about losing a man. It is the sacred and transformative path of addition, of gaining yourself. It is about understanding, through the lens of profound psychology, that the power you projected onto him was always yours. It is about applying the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to build an inner fortress so strong that your peace is no longer a commodity to be negotiated with the outside world. This synthesis of deep psychological understanding and unshakable philosophical discipline is the hallmark of the modern feminine queen. You learn that the magnetic void you create by stepping back is not empty. It is filled with the potent energy of your own becoming, a force far more compelling than any plea or pursuit could ever be. You learn that the ultimate power move is to turn away from the external drama and turn toward the internal throne. Remember this truth deep in your bones. You are a feminine queen. Your power is not loud, it is not aggressive, it is not demanding. It is a quiet, deep, resonant strength that comes from knowing, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are whole and complete entirely on your own. This journey of withdrawal is the ultimate act of faith in your own worth. It is the declaration that you will no longer accept a love that requires you to be smaller, to be less, to be a supporting character in your own life. You are the protagonist, the author, and the ruler of your own magnificent kingdom. Stepping back is how you finally step onto your throne. Embrace the stillness, for in that stillness, you will hear the powerful, regal voice of your own soul. I invite you now to take a moment of reflection. Look within and ask yourself, what projection am I ready to withdraw? What piece of my own golden power am I ready to reclaim? Share your thoughts and your journey in the comments below. This space is a council for queens, a place where we share our wisdom and bear witness to each other's strength. Your story has the power to inspire another woman to begin her own sacred pilgrimage back to herself. Let us build this community of sovereign women together. Thank you for investing this time in your own becoming and for allowing Feminine Queen to be a part of your journey. The path to your throne is paved with self-knowledge and unshakable inner virtue. Walk it with grace, walk it with courage, and know that your sovereignty is the most beautiful crown you will ever wear. Until next time, continue to build your inner kingdom.